Weeknd dropped his 6th studio album and 3rd of this trilogy that he's been releasing with After Hours and Dawn FM. If you haven't already seen our Dawn FM review, which we did obviously when it came out, make sure you check that out.
A minute ago.
That was a hot minute ago. Also, I very briefly live tweeted my reaction to this new album, so follow me on Twitter. It's JTG_. Follow this guy on Twitter. He's the podcast tweeter.
The podcast Twitter.
BOTB Squad. I consider myself a pretty big Weeknd fan. I did get onto the wave a little late with Beauty Behind the Madness, with the hills and all that other shit. I Can't Feel My Face. Even though I heard Wicked Games and all that other shit before that. And the Take Care shit that he gave to Drake, obviously.
You mean all of Take Care?
Yes.
Like, damn, that shit broke my heart.
But that's when I started to fuck with him.
Like, what? The whole album?
The entire thing. Here. Beauty Behind the Madness was a dope album. Starboy is one of my favorites. I really enjoyed Dawn FM, even if it did take me aback. And I mentioned this in the review, because there was just so much death surrounding the album that it was like hard to get through, at least for the first time. And then once I got through it, I felt like there was this experience that I gained because I got through that shit. And the music was great. It was all cohesive. It was all like 80s pop, that type of shit. So when it comes to this album, obviously I was very excited for that to happen again. I figured he was going to tackle some themes, and I'll talk about that in a second. But I felt like I was going to have to go through that again, and I felt like that really made the experience of the album for me when it came to Dawn FM. I was disappointed. I will tell you why. First of all, an hour and a half.
Damn.
Dawn FM and After Hours were both less than an hour. An hour and a half is just too much. It's just too much in this age that we're in.
Who you think you is? Chris Brown?
Yeah, like it's too much. You're trying to, first of all, you're bound to have fillers in that. But for me, when I'm trying to have this experience like what I had with Dawn FM, where it was like, all these themes are really kind of tough to get through. And I knew this album would be, since it's part of the trilogy, I knew this would be more about like redemption, rebirth, faith, as opposed to sin, things like that. Like I knew we were going to get there. So I expected it to be condensed to like these big moments where I was going to have to like listen to this, but then I was going to come out of it better for having listened to it, like I did with Dawn FM. I didn't get that because I felt like he was too busy from a lot of the album trying to jump around different genres like Brazilian funk and Europop. And not to say that the music
Brazilian funk.
Right.
I want it. That's not the words of that song.
Gross.
It's Jamaican funk. I just made it fit.
Yikes. Not to say that the album wasn't good, because the album was good. It's The Weeknd. The music is good. I'm still listening to Timeless like crazy. I felt like I was going to go into this situation and get this experience like I got from Dawn FM, and I didn't really get that, especially when it came to some of the messages that I was hoping he would address. I've been waiting so long for him to kind of address some of these things. You know, a theme in a lot of his music is like making a deal with the devil. Now I'm famous, and all the things that have come with that, even if it's metaphorical. And I just felt like, it's going to come a time where he's going to have to like address where it's going to come full circle to where like religion is going to play some kind of part in it. And I just kind of wanted to know what that was going to look like. So this album has kind of been a long time coming for me. And I just felt like he just kind of did a little too much. I feel like, I mean, that's my take on it, I guess. But like, so I do feel like some of the music was still pretty good.
With that album coming out, one, do you think that the Party Next Door Drake album drops in close proximity? Two, how do you think it will perform in comparison to that?
Well, first of all, a lot of people liked the Weeknd album. And again, I did too. I just didn't get what I wanted out of it. Let me clarify that. And so I will be going back for more listens of this album. The Drake and Party album is going to be nothing more than background music that will get repeat listens because people are looking for that mindless music, right? I don't know if it's going to get as promoted as the Weeknd's album because there's not a label behind Drake anymore. That's another thing that's going to kind of impact that. And the Weeknd is at his peak popularity-wise, and Drake is
not
at his lowest popularity-wise. So,
do you think that they drop like soon?
That was the argument that like Drake was hoping to release it this week, but yeah, no, I just there's something to be said about one having a label that the Weeknd has over Drake and Party Next Door, and just the quality of the album. Again, just because I was disappointed in the experience that I got doesn't mean that this album isn't better than whatever they're going to come out with, and is going to be therefore much more popular and sell more, I guess is what I'm saying. So, yeah, no, I definitely got the Weeknd over that shit. But shout out to the album. If you get a chance to listen to it, there are some high points, and I think it's a good album. I think if you like the Weeknd, you will like this album. I just was disappointed with my experience. That's all.
Yeah.